Fox News has been pushing for Joe Biden to have a press conference for some time, and what do you know? They're gonna get what they want because we are on the precipice of the first formal press conference for Joe Biden. Not the first time that he's talked to the news, he's interacted with the news in a lot of different ways, but none of that counted for some reason. But anyway, Fox and Friends is very excited, not just because Biden will have to answer questions about the various crises facing America, but because they think something's gonna happen, as will be clear in this clip from Fox and Friends.
Wonder what kind of preparation. I'm sure it's a lot more than a minute or two he's putting in, and we'll see how he does, because this is not his ideal format, the back and forth and the jostling that happens in a press briefing.
Kayleigh, I can barely understand what he's saying with the mask on. I don't know if that's on purpose or what. And we talked earlier about how he hasn't met with the Republican side. Sometimes I wonder, maybe it's not that he doesn't want to work together or pretend like he's working together with them. Maybe they just don't want to show how badly he's declining. I mean, I can't understand him, and there seems to be such little access, and they know that we have these questions. What else could be the reason?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Rachel. It's a scripted presidency. It's a soundbite presidency. You remember President Trump let cameras in when he was with Nancy Pelosi. So even when he was with friend or foe, the cameras were always in. He was always taking questions. But this is a scripted presidency. They put him in these very short moments. His speeches are even short. They're a few minutes most of the time. There's no long address. And you've got to ask, why is he not giving this joint address to Congress? This is your opportunity to go forward with a positive agenda, an optimistic agenda, lay out what you plan. He's not doing it. Can he do it? I think is the question that we're all asking. And today's going to be a big test for President Biden, his biggest yet, at least when it comes to public relations.
Yeah, and arguably not the most important test, since it just has to do with public relations, not with dealing with a pandemic or something like that. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have 1,000 thoughts. I have 1,000 thoughts, but first, Wosny, what do you think?
It's Fox. They've clearly haven't decided the sort of angle that they want to take in their mode of attack for Joe Biden, right? With Barry, it was simple. Look at the guy. He's black. He's Muslim. Like, the line of attack was so clear and easy for them. They focused in on that, like with laser precision, and they just went about otherizing the guy, and that's what they did for 8 years. And it was very easy. With Joe Biden, it's a little harder. They can't come out and sort of talk crap about the only important policy decision he's made so far, which is the $2 trillion in stimulus, because as you and I both know, John, that thing is a smoker. That thing has 75% approval rating amongst all Americans. So they can't come out and kill him for that. So they have to grasp at straws and say, oh, why is he so scripted? I mean, is he gonna come out and suggest that people drink bleach and detergent? Who knows, right?
I bet that he wouldn't. But yeah, and so you're totally right. They've taken, basically, they're not sure exactly what they should say about Biden, so they're just going with what Trump said about Biden. It's Sleepy Joe. This is just another version of Sleepy Joe, which, look, that's an attack, and their fans seem to like it, and Trump has fun with it. But is that the most effective attack? Because they simultaneously want to call him sleepy and he's barely alive, he's not really in control, but also he's super extreme and dangerous and you should be terrified about what he's gonna do. Like, maybe a Fox viewer who wants to believe both of those things can try, but it's not gonna be as natural as, look at that guy, he's really, really black. I mean, you can look at him and he's totally black. Like, that's a direct through line to every racist bone in Fox viewers' bodies.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden is not gonna fist bump his black wife, right?
Probably not.
It's gonna be a little bit tougher for them to peg him and pigeonhole him into certain categories. And again, if he continues to just do things that are popular amongst even Fox News voters, viewers, then they're tough, man. They're between a rock and a hard place. If it was by chance a woman or someone who was basically non-white, it's kind of easy for Fox News to get their digs in, right? Like they could call the person emotional, or they could call the person radical, or whatever. They can paint this person as different, or having these iniquities, or whatever the case may be. But because Joe Biden is just he's old. He fits the other qualifications, which is white and male, but he's old and straight, by the way, because that also matters. But this it's tough. They're struggling, man. You see, they rather go with the culture war stuff recently. They're going with the Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head, and the liberals are going crazy with PC. Like they are so stuck for material. It's like being in a writer's room and just having writer's block. The material is just not coming to them quite as naturally as it once did.
Totally, and that stuff, while their fans like the Seuss and the Potato Head and whatever, that doesn't really have anything to do with Biden.
Right.
So like, does that really help to build a narrative that Biden's a disaster, that you have to vote him out of office in 4 years? Not necessarily. And I would also say strategically, if what you really hope is that Biden is gonna be slow Alzheimer, is so Alzheimer that he's not gonna be able to get through a press conference, you're lowering expectations by saying that in advance. I mean, it's not, and by the way, not for their audience. Like they can say he's gonna stumble through it, he's gonna be a disaster. And whether he does or not, their audience isn't gonna know, because their audience isn't gonna watch the press conference. They're gonna maybe see 30 of the worst seconds from Sean Hannity, that's it. But the larger, like American audience is going to be told that he can barely get through a speech. And if he can, then that doesn't help their narrative. It's just
and I think it's another thing that our viewers should understand as well. Another thing they can't do is go on here and say, well, Joe Biden's not deregulating American business enough. He's not, slashing enough taxes for the richest people in America. Like he's not doing enough of what Mitch McConnell and Trump's basically the only policy stuff that they can hang their hat on after 4 years was a record-breaking, record-setting tax cut for extremely wealthy Americans. So Fox can't spend all day saying, well, they're not doing that, because they know nobody wants that or cares about that, right? So again, they got bupkis.
That is true. That is true. Okay, yeah, and by the way, like there are criticisms to make of Biden, but as Wosny pointed out in the beginning, those would be substantive critiques that would get into what the American people really want, and Fox News doesn't want to talk about that. We critique Biden all of the time. Like for instance, if I had a question, and Woz, I'll give you a chance, what question would you ask him? But if I had a question, I would say, you promised a billion times you're gonna cancel student loan debt. You could do it right now with your signature. You could literally stop for a minute and do it right now. I'll give you a pen, I'll give you a paper, you could do it. Why aren't you doing that? That's a question, but Fox doesn't want to get into that because they don't want student loan debt to be canceled, even though that's what the American people want. So that would be my question. Exactly. What would you ask?
I would ask him about the infrastructure bill that they've already started to doing the PR around. Because we saw with the stimulus, they treated it as this is an emergency. This has to happen. We'll do the quote unquote bipartisan lip service, and then we'll watch McConnell and the rest of the flunkies in the GOP completely ignore it, completely say, we're gonna stand in front of anything you try to do for normal working class Americans. And they said, this is too important to be left up to these goons, right? And they smashed it through via budget reconciliation and kept it pushing. It's like, we tried, y'all failed. We're keeping it pushing. I want to know if they're going to take a similar tact, if they view this this infrastructure bill as just as vital as they so clearly viewed the stimulus. So that's what I would want to know. Are you going to treat this as, level 1 emergency type of thing?
Yeah, we'll see. I have my doubts. I think it's a good question though.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.